Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/ProRevenge. In today's episode, SLUM Lord won't let the company out of a 5-year lease. I get the building condemned. It's not about the dog toy, it's about sending a message. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. SLUM Lord won't let the company out of a 5-year lease. I get the building condemned. To start, this is about the company I work for and a trip I took because I had to wire a building for a computer network because the building owner wouldn't. Backstory: our company was moving a remote site to a new building. As the IT guy for the company, I was asked to look at the new building and get network ports marked out. The landlord refused to put in any low voltage lines, and we got quotes, but they were thousands of dollars. Enter me, my car, and 4 boxes of Cat 6 plenum. It's about an 8-hour drive, and I was doing about 30 drops. Not a ton, but still, a few days' work in someplace that's already built up. And it's drop ceiling with insulation on top. Messy, itchy work. Story. Day 1. We get there Monday morning at the start of the month. It's actually a cool summer morning, and we're from further south, so no one notices the AC not working for about an hour. Slowly, the building begins heating up. It gets to 80 by noon, 85 at 3 p.m. The rooms with floor-to-ceiling windows are greenhouses. It's absolutely miserable. We've been told by the workers still on site that the leasing company was told there was no AC in our building 3 weeks ago. The other thing is there are still workers on site. The building isn't completed. So much for being ready for a handover day 1. Day 2. We're getting agitated. It's 80 degrees in the AM when we first walk in. It's sweltering. The other guy that came up with me is the facilities manager. He's screaming at people over the phone to fix the F***King AC. We're all exhausted from the heat by 3 p.m. I found a 4-foot hole in the ducting when I opened the ceiling tile. The AC was blowing, but there was no cold air. We are told the compressor is broken. Day 3. More of the same. Miserable in the morning, I'm finally getting the last lines punched in on the patch panel. The AC guys arrive about 10 a.m. They finally fix the unit at 2 p.m. We ask them what they did. They said a lot of things. We again said, "What did you do?" The reply was, "We can't tell the tenants." Red flag alert. We contacted our realtor. She said she would look into what was done. She sends an email later that night that says they changed the refrigerant from R22 to R410A. I tell the facilities guy, "No way, dude. That's like putting gas in a diesel motor, they'd have to change out the entire system." They didn't do that in 4 hours. They basically duct taped and WD-40'd that thing back together, and it will run poorly for a month or so, then give out, and we'd be stuck with a replacement. Day 4. Still no running water to some areas, still workers on site, the AC can't keep up with the noonday sun, and it still hits around 80 by the end of the day. AC runs continuously. We're packing up all the stuff we moved in and moving out. I notice all the fire sprinklers look like they have moved, and the metal protection around the drop tile has fallen to the floor. The sprinklers are no longer protruding from the tiles in places, in others, they are quite a bit lower than they were. Yep, the AC fools stood on the fire sprinklers to fix their lousy duct work. We are looking for a friendly way out. We contact the landlord and say, "You haven't delivered a finished building, we're moving out, the lease is broken." Landlord has a 36-page lease. Landlord won't let us out of the lease, it's 5 years. This is not starting off well. We get in contact with the corporate lawyer and the realtor. They both agree we're kind of F***ked. We are desperate for any way out. I start looking at the fire system. I used to run all kinds of low voltage lines, fire, security, etc. There is no fire panel in our portion of the building. No smoke detectors are hooked up to anything. More red flags. One of our employees that was moving the heavy gear says, "Oh yeah, I meant to mention, I never saw any building permits anywhere, ding ding ding. They did this build out, including demolition, running new plumbing and power lines, and destroying the fire system without a city permit. Cue the call to city inspector's office." Day 5. I wasn't here for this part, but the facilities manager told me this. The city inspector pulled the permits for the building. There weren't any. He finds multiple violations of city code. Red tagged our area, removed the certificate of occupancy. When I told him to check the fire system like you said, he just goes, "Oh no, I have to make a call." He calls the fire marshal. Day 8. Fire marshals arrive on scene. Find no active alarm system in our portion of the building. Red tag. Find the sprinkler riser for the entire building in our area. No water pressure. Condemned the entire building. Basically, they wouldn't let us out of the building because we signed a lease, even though they never delivered a building in any semblance of working order. Called the building inspector, got them smoked, who then called the fire marshal, who condemned the entire building. They are still trying to fight us over it, but we're pushing for them not only refunding our deposit and the rent, which they have already done, but for all the time spent moving gear in and out, and all the wiring. Our lawyer says they don't have a leg to stand on, and he's happy for them to pay his fees as well. It's not about the dog toy, it's about sending a message. Backstory: I live in the basement floor of my parents' house. My name is on the title. There was a bit of a financial kerfuffle that required my assistance. We have 2 dogs, one bearded collie named Abby who loves my dad, and a cockapoo named Dexter who is my bud. Important note about Abby: she is a toy shredder. The only kind of dog toys that last in my house are made of rubber, or are too big for Dexter to get a good grip on. A few months back Dexter and I attended an agility course, and at the end of that course Dexter was presented with a bucket full of dog toys and allowed to pick one to take home. He pulled out a purple fuzzy monkey thing that had some skinny ropes coming out. Forgive me if I slip and call it a tug monkey. Now Dexter loved playing with that toy, and always remembered where I put it last, so he knew where he needed to sit and stare. When I got this toy I showed it to both parents and explained that Abby under no circumstances is allowed near, as she'd have it shredded in seconds. They both acknowledged and said they get it. I was always very careful to put it up on a shelf when he was done with the monkey, and it never journeyed upstairs. Last month I went out for a little while, and when I came back Dexter was frantic. Flung himself at me, and once he was sure I was looking sat and stared where I'd last left the toy. The shelf was empty. Fearing the worst I went to check upstairs, and there's Abby destroying one of the tug ropes and covered in purple shreds of fabric. I was livid. When questioned my mother admitted to giving Dexter the toy, and she just forgot the door between halves of the house was open. Before someone suggests a stay in a nice padded room, this is a pattern of consistent disrespect that's been going on since I've moved back and been promised complete autonomy. I put up a whiteboard on the between halves door facing out. If I'm going to be in a Zoom meeting with a camera on or on a call, I used to write in a meeting on the whiteboard. Sometimes this worked, most times it didn't. Mom would just have a laundry basket and decided the stuff needed doing then and figure my call was surely over. It hasn't been yet. I feel like she's walked in on at least 5 or more calls in the last month where I've been actively speaking and had to mute and cover the camera. I'm only on calls a very small fraction of the day, perhaps an hour or so in total. My boss has commented on distractions and actually had me start speaking less. Did I mention my mother has a tendency to whistle or sing while she's doing chores? Or that one time she derailed an entire meeting because she unleashed a belch so loud it reverberated? This isn't just a quiet blur in the background, it's a real problem. So I load Dexter into my car and we fly to the pet store for an emergency purple monkey replacement. Happily enough I found the exact same toy. I purchased that and some treats, crisis averted, right? Wrong. We get back to the house, and he zips over to where the murdered toy was, sitting and longing. I take the tags off the replacement and distract him with some treats, put the fake monkey on the shelf, and when Dexter resumed his post I gave him the duplicate, which he sniffed and then snubbed before crying and staring at the shelf some more. I am a patient man. The *T threshold I have with my parents is set pretty high. But seeing that, my heart broke. There was an Arthur fist. I vowed revenge. I went to the hardware store and ordered a steel interior door, the same keypad lock we already have for exterior doors, and some security door hinges. I then had to return the first door and measure first before ordering the correct size. For the next 3 Sundays my cousins helped me out with getting everything assembled and adjusted while my parents went to church. The 4th Sunday was spent with a soldering iron lobotomizing the digital code lock so it rejected every code entered. Yesterday we did the door swap and managed to get everything done and cleaned. When my parents left for church, flimsy particle board door was all that stood between my half and theirs. When they returned, steel door with wood facade, code lock, and tamper-proof hinges. Also wound up changing the code for my exterior door. There was wailing and lamentations and gnashing of teeth. How could you? What about laundry? All this for a dog toy? I calmly explained that the door won't stay closed, but when it is closed it's staying closed. My name is on the deed of the house now, I can make modifications to my space if I want to. My mother wanted to know what about an emergency? I told her I'd give her the code right now to the new door if she could tell me one situation where minutes mattered. There was hemming and hawing and no actual laundry emergency cited. Why did I spend more than $150 on a door lock only to immediately break it? Because it's got a working deadbolt, which is all I need, and my mother spent 3 hours yesterday trying to brute force the code lock. Why did I spend more than $1,000 on a deadbolt and a door that will sneer at a battering ram? 2 reasons, the first being I was mad and wasn't sure anything less would do the trick, and second is because my sister lurks this subreddit religiously, and will likely spread this to the rest of my extended family. Hi everyone.